we were able to discuss JPA. So JPA stands for Java Persistence API. That is mainly which is going to have a new wrapper which will be completely a Java code without writing any database code on the Java side, unlike JDBC. So even if we change the database, you no need to change my JPA layer. That is a loosely coupled architecture between our Java code and database code. Completely JPA depends on three key principles. Like every Java class is a table, every Java property is a database column, and every instance of the database class is every instance of the Java class is a database row. These are the key principles which we are using, and we are developing a ticket booking application to have complete end-to-end knowledge. Instead of rather than speaking theory, we want to write code so that you will have a clear picture of JPA. So we are going to create a database first, that is our JPA class. After that, we are going to create a service, and we are writing ticket controller, and we are going to make any request coming from any of the clients. So that is a typical flow where we are going to focus further. So yesterday we wrote a model class, which is nothing but we created a ticket booking application where we say we have taken at the web application Spring Boot Starter Web, data JPA, as well as H2 dependency. Completely web dependency, data JPA dependency, as well as H2. It's a completely in-memory database which is going to take care of ticket booking application. We are creating using that. H2 is an in-memory database. I'll explain clearly what is in-memory database and all those things. And also we wrote a model class. First annotation we wrote at the rate of entity. At the rate of entity is a Java class which is going to create a database table. And at the rate of table is an optional entity where you can write or you no need to write. But if you write, it will customize if your Java class is compared to our database class. If you want both the names, you can have at the rate of table. And also we are going to have at the rate of column is also having optional, and at the rate of ID is going to create a primary key. And primary key, it's completely a unique value. By default, it should be generated by the system to make a consistency. So that's why we have used auto generation. What is auto generation means? JPA will create a sequence to database, and it will use the sequence to populate the data. So this is what so far yesterday I explained. Anyone has any questions till yesterday? I've shared the code, I've shared the running notes, everything. Okay. As of now, anyone has any questions in yesterday's class? Any questions, guys? Okay, cool. Now we are going to write the next layer. What is the next layer, guys? We are done with DB layer, right? So we have done with the DB layer at the rate of entity, at the rate of table, at the rate of ID, at the rate of generated value, and getters and setter, constructor, and toString. So this is a Pojo class is over. Next class is what? DAO layer, that is called as data access object. a database layer. Okay, so which I'm going to do that. A new class, new class, which is equal to dot dao ticket dao. So which is equal to, this layer is called as what? DAO layer stands for data access object layer. Data access object layer means if we need any operations with the database, we can use this layer. Okay. What are the operations, right? Database connection, inserting the data, updating the data, retrieving the data, deleting the data. By default, all these are the typical operations. Okay. In JDBC, we need to write lot of code to get a connection to database. Lot of code you need to write a code for performing CRUD operations. What do you mean by CRUD operations, guys? CRUD operation means C for create, right? R for read, U for update, D for delete. CRUD operation means see, create, read, update, and delete. So by default, we are going to write all this particular code in a DAO layer. Okay. What Spring Boot is thinking is, it is thinking very proactively. This is a common code, database connection, inserting the data, updating the data, deleting the data, retrieving the data for every table. This is a common code. Only column name changes. That's why framework is completely automated. You no need to write any code for these cases. In connecting to database, in retrieving the data, in inserting the data, in updating the data, as well as in deleting data. You no need to write any specific code, guys, here. By default, if I write one annotation called as at the rate of repository, if I write at the rate of repository, it internally makes a database connection. It will internally makes, you no need to write. What piece of code you will avoid? Driver manager dot get connection, connection manager dot open, result set, prepared statement, execute update. All these are the JDBC keywords. I hope I clearly mentioned JDBC is the minimum knowledge you need to have to go with this course. I told, right? So that entire code is completely avoided by JDBC. I mean, it's avoided by GPA. Okay. Now this is a repository annotation is going to take care. Also, to perform this CRUD operations also. To perform these CRUD operations also, create, read, update, and delete. All these are the CRUD operations, right, guys? To perform these CRUD operations, By default, we are going to use a repository. Spring Boot is created called as CRUD repository. So public interface extends CRUD repository. And there are two inputs for that, where ticket is the which table you want to perform CRUD operations, and what is the data type of the primary key. So there are two inputs are there for CRUD repository. By default, what I'm trying to say here, at the rate of repository is mainly useful for achieving database connection. After that, typical normal database operations are inserting the data, updating the data, deleting the data, retrieving the data. All these are the typical operations for every table. What framework is thinking of? Why can't we automated these operations? Inserting means insert into table name. Update means update table name. Delete means delete table name. Select star from table name. All this sort of code is completely managed by the framework. You no need to write any extra code from a framework perspective. That is why it created internally called as a CRUD repository. It internally create a repository called as what? CRUD repository. Okay. So what I'm going to do is Spring Boot completely automated the CRUD repository, automated the CRUD operations with CRUD repository. Okay. Spring Boot completely automated the CRUD operations with the CRUD repository, and developer no need to write. Boilerplate code to perform CRUD operations. Entire code is written by the framework only. Okay. It is going some APIs like find all method, select a star from table, find by ID, select a star from table where primary key is equal to save is equal to insert or update, delete is equal to delete the data. So by default, it is giving some APIs. Internally, CRUD repository is going to have some APIs. You see here. You're going to see that delete exists by ID. Like these are the internal implementations where Spring Boot can automate. So by default, it is going to CRUD repository is created with that particular functionality. Inputs for the CRUD repository are inputs for the CRUD repository are entity name and data type of the data type of the entity's primary key. Okay. Inputs for the CRUD repository are entity name and data type of the entity's primary key. Whatever the data type of the primary key entity is there.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, one question.
Mhm. Go ahead.
Sir, here you are passing class name and the type of object, a type of data
Data
type,
type, primary key.
primary key. Yeah. If we want to use the
It's
composite
advanced.
key,
It's a
in
future.
that case, what it should look like?
It's a future question. Maybe after 10
Okay.
to 15 classes, you'll get that. First, we'll focus on basic things. Then we'll focus on composite primary key. Okay. It's after 15 classes, you will come to that particular topic. As of now, you don't need to worry. Assuming that till now, we'll only use primary key. Only one column. That this code I will teach now. Okay. Right. Any other questions, guys, so far? Everyone is comfortable, right? As of now, anyone has any questions? Okay. So my DAO call is also over.
So one more
Just
thing.
yes.
Instead of at the rate repository annotation, is there any annotation that we can use? What is the purpose of using that repository annotation?
I clearly just now mentioned, right? If you want to perform any operations related to the database, like database connection, that
Mm-hmm.
entire database connection code is internally written by this particular annotation. And inserting data, updating data, deleting data will be performed by the CRUD repository. Repository will make a database connection. CRUD repository perform CRUD operations. Clear?
Yes, sir. Clear. Basically, it's to connect with the data, communicate with the database from the Java with the repository. Is it that?
Yes. Yeah. Any other questions by anyone?
So we don't write any queries, right? So, is that correct?
We are going to write, but as of now, first kindly, my point is we'll focus on basics first. We'll learn basics. If you
Okay.
want to write queries, by default to perform CRUD operations, insert the data, no need to write a query. Update the data, no need to write a query. Retrieving the data, no need to write the query. Deleting the data, no need to write the query. But in some cases, we need to write a query, which I am going to explain after this exercise is over. But as of now, we are not writing any queries as part of this example. It's a basic example. Okay.
Okay, sir. Perfect.
Okay. Any other by anyone? Okay. The next layer is what, sir? My database layer is over. My DAO layer is also over. Both the layers are over, right? Now we are going to discuss about service layer. Okay. We are doing discuss about a service layer, which is equal to class, which is called as service, which is called as ticket service. By default, this is my service class. What is the service layer means? Completely business logic, right? Business logic will be there at service layer. In my example, what is my business logic here? Creating the data, updating the data, preparing Java object as well as calling the DAO layer will be done by the service layer in our context. But in future classes, we are going to discuss transaction management. We are going to discuss queue management. All those things completely different concepts. In this example, I'm not going in depth of that. I'll just call the DAO layer because all the APIs from the for CRUD operations, all APIs are available in CRUD repository. So that's why we are taking a JPA repository or a CRUD repository, whatever it may be, which is going to service layer. The JPA repository is going to service layer only. Okay, like whatever the code I don't write, find all, find by ID, save as well as delete. All these APIs will be called layer. Okay, guys, I'm really sorry, guys. Little bit of headache for me. I'm not able to concentrate perfectly today. If possible, please don't mind. I'm going to stop the class because I cannot teach in a efficient way. If I have little bit problem in my head, I mean something like somehow I was little bit struggling with my headache. I'm sincerely requesting. I'm planning to stop the class now. Okay, because I cannot teach efficiently. Okay, maybe can we see tomorrow from where we'll continue from tomorrow? Okay,
Okay, sir.
and
Okay, sir. Take
definitely
rest.
Yes, sir. Take care.